right. Hi, everyone. I am so glad that you could join us today for a discussion about one of Reforge's newest features. We are bringing personalized product advice tailored to you through conversational AI. This is a big step for us towards our goal of giving marketing, growth, and product leaders the confidence that they can level up the quality of their day-to-day work to build better products. Before we dig in, I'd like to just share a little bit more about myself. I'm the product lead over the Reforge membership, as Chris mentioned. My team is very focused on how we can help our members not just level up through our courses at those key inflection points in their careers, but really help support you in your day-to-day work to build even more impactful products for your communities and your businesses. Before I was working at Reforge, I helped grow NerdWallet, a personal finance site and fintech marketplace, where I spent about 8 years from its early days through IPO. And when I was at NerdWallet, I actually had signed up for a Reforge membership, and I took a Reforge course and became an instant fan. And like many of our members, I was blown away by the quality of the material. And so when I started working at Reforge as a PM, I was already so bought into the product and this community. And one of the reasons I joined in the first place was this opportunity to help bring access to some of the best product expertise in tech to the rest of the product community around the world. And that's why I'm so excited to be sharing more about what our team has been working on. So in the next 45 minutes or so, I hope that you walk away with a greater understanding of the value that you'll get from Reforge with these latest features. If you're not yet a member, we have a limited free version launching soon. And if you're interested in a free trial of a Reforge membership, we'll share more about how to do that after this event. And so because this is a community of product builders, I have to start by giving you a glimpse into why and how we built this. Then I'll do a quick demo of how to use Reforge's conversational AI and invite two special guests who've been amazing beta testers over the last few months to share their experience using it. And then at the end, we'll save plenty of time for questions. All right, so let's talk about behind the scenes. The number one piece of feedback that we have heard at Reforge since the very beginning, I mean, last 7, 8 years when Brian Balfour started Reforge, is that we have great courses, great content, but our members struggle to apply it to their work. This has almost become a rallying cry among our team, and it's led us to ask, how might we not only help people level up at these career inflection points through our courses, but also help you do better work today by leveraging the expertise from our experts and peer community who have done this before. And so advances in generative AI and LLMs has unlocked new ways for us to solve existing problems. We didn't set out to build AI features. I just want to be clear about that. We had existing problems and we asked ourselves, how can we use these new technologies to help us solve these problems in ways that we previously couldn't? And so like with any other product problem, we started talking to our customers. We wanted to understand the most painful problems that they face in their work and form hypotheses that we could go and test as fast as possible. So here's, even a diagram just to show you like some very early thinking that we were doing around like opportunities to solve existing problems. And so when working on 0 to 1 features at Reforge, we do try to follow our own advice and use our own frameworks that our network of experts has created for Reforge. And in this case, we had hypotheses that we wanted to go and test as fast as possible. And we needed to do that iteratively in order to de-risk what we were building and make sure that we were building in the right way on the right track. And so we actually started with a feature we'd recently shipped at the time, which was search. We'd rebuilt our search functionality to do similarity search using OpenAI's vector embeddings. And we started there and built a very simple proof of concept of a conversational AI and put that in the hands of a few dozen early alpha testers. At the time, we had no idea if this was something worth pursuing. We knew that we just needed to learn if there was demand here, what use cases our members might even have for it, and if we could build conviction that this technology could solve a meaningful problem. And so through learning from what our users told us, we came to realize that we were in a unique position to not just take meaningful swings at solving long-standing user problems, but to differentiate what we build. And we wanted to differentiate, we realized that we could differentiate through trust, transparency, and actionability. In terms of trust, Reforge has this incredible community of experts that's helped us create unmatched quality of content. We can give you advice that's backed by this knowledge base. We can create transparency by citing the source the advice came from within Reforge's content library. And we can help you contextualize that knowledge so that it's immediately applicable and actionable to what you're working on. And that's what's led us to bringing you actionable advice that's tailored to your unique context, backed by Reforge's expert knowledge base. And so again, we're building these features because we believe they can solve long-standing problems for our community. Our approach is heavily rooted in user-centric product thinking. And I will say too, like what makes me maybe the most proud of what we're working on is it's truly been such a cross-functional team effort and will continue to be so. Our engineering team combined what they were learning about this new space, this new technology, with a strong product intuition. Our whole team across product, engineering, design, data, marketing, we continue to work closely together to figure out what value we want to create for our users and how we bring solutions to market to deliver on that value. And so that's a little bit about how we approach this feature so far. Before I jump into a demo, I'll just remind everyone that this is very much still a beta feature. And so we'd love to know what you think of it and what we can do to make it better for you. So give me one moment while I pull up my screen here. Move the Zoom toolbar out of my way. Okay. All right, so I'm actually just going to tell you or walk you through an example of what I'm thinking about in my own product work right now. So, we've launched this new feature and we're thinking about how do we kind of increase discovery and awareness and drive people back into the products. So I'm thinking about, what might be growth loops that we can create around this new feature. It's a concept that I'm familiar with from, having seen Reforge frameworks in the past. So I might start by, typing in growth loops into the search bar. I even see some suggested prompts, so maybe I click one of those. And I can see, search results about content around growth loops. We have artifacts, so we can see examples of how others have thought about building growth models. In this case, maybe viral loops at a company called LifeCoal. We have guides that might walk me step by step through how to approach this. I can also now see result highlights on the right side. And result highlights will just summarize at kind of the key points about, in this case, what growth loops are, answering the question that I typed in. And I can decide to start a chat. When I open the chat from the CTA, I can see that there are suggested prompts that are contextualized to the previous response that I can click to instantly get another response, or I can type in my own message in the box down below. Now, one of the coolest things, in my opinion, of what we're trying to do here is you can also click into the menu. You can see your session history, start a new chat, or you can personalize your conversations. So when I click personalize, it opens up this window where I can add information about my role, my company, my audience, industry. We're also kind of looking for what else folks might be interested in sharing. And so there's an additional details section here where I've just added a couple sentences about what I'm working on. Like very simple, I work on a content-based learning product. We're building a conversational AI to help our users apply frameworks to their own work context. With just that in mind, I will show you a previous conversation I had. With just that in mind, I was able to ask a question, what should the first growth loop be for my product? It was able to give me a response contextualized to what I've told it about who I am and what I'm working on, and suggested a couple loops that I might want to start with, content loops, viral loops. It also cites sources, so I can click in and then it takes me to the source of that, where that response is being pulled from. And what's even neat about that is as you navigate the site, it shows you suggested prompts contextualized to that page. So now I might be able to, ask a question or get inspired about the types of questions that I might ask about this content to dig even deeper into the material. Or I can keep kind of going with this train of thought and figure out how to contextualize the concepts to me. So in this case, the AI is recommending that I start with content loops. If I go back to search, I might find a guide on, and I actually found this one around building the first growth loop for new products, which felt really relevant to what I'm currently working on. So when I click in, I now see some options on these guides that inspire me on the types of things that I can do. It's not just about asking questions about the material to better understand the concepts, which you can do, but it's also about figuring out how it applies to you. Maybe I want to get more examples and I want to see how, this concept might apply for products like mine in the B2B space or in the B2C space, or maybe I want to see examples from fintech companies and just get inspired. I can click get more examples. Maybe I want to brainstorm ideas and use this conversational AI as my brainstorming partner to figure out what tactics I might go and try. And so as you do, you can share, you can, click on these prompts, these shortcuts, and you can share a little bit about what you're working on, and it will brainstorm with you, and you can kind of keep that conversation going. You can store those, or you can always come back to those from your session history or start new conversations. And then lastly, just as far as how you can use it as you navigate the site, it will stay open with you as you navigate. You can also move it around your screen if useful, if it's blocking whatever you're looking at. You can easily close it, pull it back up by pressing the icon in the top navigation. And if you wanted to have a more focused conversation, you can expand into full screen. All right, and that is it for the demo. Let me go back to my slides here. I hope that was a helpful overview. And as I mentioned, there are many other use cases that you can use Reforge's conversational AI for. Everything from defining the metrics for your upcoming feature launch to building your next go-to-market plan. If it's a topic covered on Reforge, we can help tailor it to your context. And so with that, I'd like to introduce two guest speakers today who have been incredible partners for myself and my team to help us learn how we can improve this. And so I'd like to invite them to share more about their experience using the feature. I'd like to start by inviting Kushi to join us. She is the growth lead at Streamline. Kushi, do you want to start by introducing yourself and telling us more about your role?
Yeah, hi. I don't know if you see me, but
We do.
yeah, I am Kushi. I bothered her so much with feedback after feedback after feedback, and the team's been really shipping this product exactly to my taste and how I would use it in my workflow. So yeah, I work at Streamline full-time as a growth lead, and I also consult and do part-time work. And then my mom goes and promises everybody that Kushi will help you. So I also do that on the side.
I love that. Kushi, can you share a little bit about the types of questions or challenges that you've used the Reforge AI to help you with?
Yeah. So I created, I know you mentioned don't spend too much time on it, but I created a list of prompts that worked for me and how I use Reforge. If you can enable screen sharing for me, or I can just put it here in the chat. So the first is that the way that I use it is I warm up the AI And I ask it like a few questions ahead of time. So I don't know if I can screen share.
Chris,
Let me
is
see.
she able to screen share?
Yes.
Yes, but I will. Okay,
There we go.
let me see. Okay, so you see. So
We
these
can
are
see
some
your
of the
screen. Great.
prompts that I used. If you see my screen, I use like if I want to get to an end output, if I want monetization strategies for a company, then I ask what are the first question that I will ask is what are some of the monetization challenges the company could face, and then I build the next phase. Then I use very direct prompts for tactical advice, and I don't ask it to give me end outputs. Instead, I tell it, okay, list down everything that's coming to your mind, say pros, cons of each, so that I can take the ultimate decision of picking the right one. And I use prompts like this, like list some ideas and cons for each. There are other prompts that I've used. I've used it for my OKRs planning. I give it context first, then have some back and forth. And then after that, I ask it, like, what should it be? And usually I get good drafts. Um, I use it for benchmarks because I don't trust Google for a lot of the benchmarking stuff. And I would much rather have Reforge uh, give me that data. But I also use very detailed prompts like we have an ungated product, there's a free trial, there's a free product, and then I ask for more like follow-up questions on that. I also use it for roadmap planning. Recently, I got a lot more dev resources than I'd anticipated, and I wanted to know what I could do. So I use it for that. And then I also use like, just keep elaborating more. I find it very helpful for stuff that Reforge has content for. If you ask like more marketing level, write a questionnaire for me for a survey, it's not super helpful if it doesn't have data or content. But if Reforge has that content, then you can like keep following up and get like a full coverage of a topic. So I would do it like this, like first, how do I design? How do I analyze? What are the formulas also? And it's very helpful because I can see the full picture immediately. And that's how I do. Like sometimes I want to talk about an infrequent product. How can I add more frequent use cases to it? And then I give it context for a product that I was working at. So the end outcome of this this entire project, and because I have early access, I got a promotion at Streamline, and then at another company they extended the offer, they increased my hours, and a third company was super impressed. Like they literally said, I am surprised that the team is the team is surprised that you were able to deliver so much in just a month. So I wouldn't credit Reforge AI for the whole thing, but I will say that it's been super helpful in that journey, and I'm glad that I had early access to it.
I love hearing that, Kushi. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'd love to, if you could maybe elaborate a little bit on how it's helped you approach your work differently. Like as you've kind of found these insights from the prompts that you just showed us, what did you do with those responses, those insights?
Yeah, that's a good question. So so when you first start a company, you want to map out. I was, doing like mapping out their PLG roadmap, and like where it was a completely sales-led company. You want to do everything from scratch. So it's creating a presentation. That presentation took it was like 80 slides long. It was very depth and it was very in-depth and like I'll show it to you. Something like this. It's super in depth. It had lots of context about the business. It had a lot of details. And so yeah, I use it directly to like share with my team, inform the strategy. For a lot of the tactical stuff, I use it as a piece of reference. and then I build on top of it.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. This is fascinating, and congratulations on all the success that you've had recently. I love hearing that. All right, let me get screen sharing back up 1 second. Let's not accidentally leave the meeting. All right, there we go. All right, so I'd like to invite our second guest speaker, Bianca. Welcome, Bianca. Would you like to unmute yourself and share a little bit about you and your role?
Yes. Hi, guys. My name is Bianca, and I work as a growth product manager at Heyday Station. It's a Brazilian tech company. In the last 9 years, I have worked as a marketing manager. So I am new to the field of product management, but I study a lot in the past few years, and now I am making this career transition.
And in this kind of career transition, I'm curious, like what types of challenges have you come across that you've been using Reforge AI to help you with?
Yes, I am using mostly to ramping up on my new job. So I have been asking technical questions about experiment modeling, data analysis, statistical relevance, and benchmarking. And I am using mostly to get knowledge from experts that I had seen the course, I have made it, but I need things that I can apply to my job and contextualize it. And I talk about that a lot with you, like, yes, Gianna, things that I can personalize to my context. I work with a PLG product, so sometimes it's a little difficult to get some content that is applied to this context, and it has been very helpful to me in that way.
I'd love if you could elaborate on that. Like, what is that value that you're getting from these conversations, maybe more tactically?
Yes, I can give you an example. Some days ago, I need to ask AI something that may sound silly, but in our company, the mobile experience isn't so good. So I need to validate if it's available and if it's okay for me to not make tests and excluding the mobile experience. So I have asked that to the AI, and the first response was, no, you need to do it. And I reply and say, I can do it. It's not possible. We are not prioritizing this. Do you recommend anything else? And then the AI got the hook for me and say, okay, I got your situation. So I feel like I need to train the AI, like Kushi say, and that helps me to get more contextualized answers to the situation that I'm in. So it has been helpful to get the training done and then get answers that I could use I could make these questions to a partner or to another growth product manager, but doing it to the AI make me ramping so fast because of the expert advice as well.
Very cool. And as a result, so as you've had these conversations, like how have you approached your work differently as a result?
Yes, so the thing is that I am currently in my second month as a growth product manager. So sometimes it's not so good to make question all the time for your partners and other growth product managers. So I feel like I am ramping up to the basic knowledge of how can I apply, how can I make more A/B tests, advanced tips and things like that. And I think the AI can help me specifically while I am modeling experiments, while I am analyzing data. So it's helped me exactly that. And I have also mentioned the expert advice that's really helpful, and also the sources that are linked, so I can dig a little deeper if I want to know more about the things that I'm asking. And yeah, that's it. I feel more confident about my job while I'm doing stuff because I know that I'm not completely lost and I have this access to the AI who is giving me support.
Very cool. Well, that's so exciting, Bianca. I'm really just so happy to hear and encouraged to hear that you're finding that this is helping you kind of make that transition into a new role and make that feel smoother and give you that confidence. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today. All right, so we're almost at the end here. I hope that this conversation has given you all a taste of what you can do with Reforge's conversational AI. And as a final tip, the more that, as you heard from Kushi and Bianca, the more that you share with Reforge about what you're working on, the more we can serve you personalized advice that you can immediately take back to your work with your team. And so I love this quote from another member who recently tried out the feature. They shared, "It immediately kicked back the best answer with links on where to learn more. This is so amazing. All of my answers just got 10x stronger. Thank you." And this is exactly the kind of feedback that we're just so excited for. And again, we are very, very early and see a lot of opportunity to improve already. And we're just looking to learn more from all of you. So with that, I'd love to open it up for questions.
Awesome. Gianna, the first question is from Donvir. Donvir, if you're still here and would like to ask your question off mute, you're welcome to. If not, I can read it out. Cool. So the question is, could you explain a little bit on the overall architecture of the solution on a high level? What model did you use and how is the token optimization implemented?
Ooh, good question around token optimization. I actually probably can't speak to that as well as my tech lead would, so I apologize. As far as architecture, right now we're currently using OpenAI. We're using GPT-4 as well as GPT 3.5 in certain cases. And so we've built it to where, depending on kind of where you are on the site and what you're doing, it might use a different model or a slightly different prompt. So we've tried to tailor the prompts in the background, the system prompts, to what we believe you're doing on a given page. And so it should be like highly actionable and concise is kind of the goal there. We're going to explore. I'm always trying so hard to not give you a sense of like where this is all going, since I just see so much opportunity, but we will be exploring in the future, like, you know, other models that we might incorporate.
Awesome. The next question is from Serwin. Apologies for the pronunciation. Is the model using external knowledge or only Reforge repositories?
It's only using Reforge, the Reforge knowledge base, at least today. Again, we may expand out if we believe there's, you know, demand for it from our users. So we'd love to know what you all think. How it works more or less is that if we have content on that topic in the Reforge content library, the AI can either give you a factual answer off of that content, or it can extrapolate to create wholly new answers by combining what we have in our knowledge base with what you share about your own situation.
Awesome. Another question from Serwin. If I'm going to provide my company or product context into the prompt, is that shared with the global database and could be accessed by other Reforge members, or will it only be associated with my account?
Only associated with your account. We take privacy very seriously, so there's no plans to share any of that data. Think about it kind of like your private profile here. So what you share with the AI is only for you.
Excellent. The next question is from Ranjith. The details I provide for personalization, is that shared with OpenAI? Could you also touch upon the roadmap and what's coming up next?
Great question. I love this question. Yes, so the details that you do share are sent to OpenAI as far as needing to kind of return back a response. Because we do use OpenAI's GPT-4 and GPT 3.5 to generate the responses, we need to be able to send that data through our prompting. But that data is not stored by OpenAI. You can read more in their data privacy details. We also have an FAQ page. Actually, if you are in the chat window and you go to the menu that I pointed out earlier in the demo, there's a link at the bottom that says learn more about Reforge AI. And if you click that, it'll take you to our support page. There you'll see information, more details around how we handle data and privacy, as well as links to OpenAI's policies. As far as roadmap and what's coming up, the thing that I'm most excited about that we're working on in the next, or I guess two things in the next couple of weeks. One is that we will be launching a kind of limited version for our free members. So if you want to give this a try and you're not yet a paying Reforge member, you'll be able to access it for free in a limited way, just to give it a try as you navigate Reforge. And then second is we're really trying to amp up how we can better personalize your experience across Reforge. So right now you'll see that to personalize it, there are kind of a lot of steps to personalize it, and we want to make that even easier. And so you'll see that we'll be starting to suggest suggested prompts that you might ask wherever you are on Reforge is kind of our goal in the next month or so. And those suggested prompts should be personalized to what you've previously shared with us and to kind of how you've used Reforge in your past content consumption activity.
I've seen the mock-ups. It's very cool. The next question is from Curtis. Could you elaborate on some of the adoption challenges you have faced? What are some things you have tried to increase adoption, and what has worked and what has not?
That's a great question. Yeah, so at Reforge, we think a lot about loops. And with this product, we think about, what's the core habit that we're trying to create? And there's kind of three pieces. If you're familiar with this framework from Reforge, there's kind of three pieces. There's what's the trigger, what's the core action, and then what's the reward that the user gets. Right now, we've been really focused on what we call the core action. And what that translates to is, how is the AI responding to you? Are you getting like really quality advice? And how do we help you get even more quality advice? So that's really what we focused a lot of our energy on, really trying to tighten up and dial in. And part of that is that we have to lessen what we call the input friction, meaning how do we make it as simple as possible for you to get started asking the right questions from the get-go. And I think that some folks are more familiar with conversational AI, ChatGPT, and maybe have more experience figuring out how to prompt AIs and might have an easier time. And others are newer to this. And so what we're trying to do is take what we've kind of seen from folks who are kind of power users and early adopters of conversational AI, and take those learnings and make that more kind of accessible to everyone. And that's kind of the thinking behind having these like dynamic suggested prompts that should feel really relevant to you and contextualized and embedded wherever you are on Reforge. So it's one of our kind of big efforts around improving discoverability and adoption. We actually found kind of early on that even adding suggested prompts in the first place was kind of this big unlock. It wasn't this like blank space, like blank canvas where you had to just type in something out of thin air. We found that even just suggesting something about the page that you're on would go a long way. And then we also, I would say second, we learned a lot when we added the chat to the top navigation. So you'll see that when you're on Reforge, there's the button at the top of your screen. And when you click that, it opens the chat window that can stay open wherever you are on Reforge. When we were very, very early on in this, it didn't do that. It was, buried in another place on Reforge and hard to find and get back to. And what we wanted to create is that this should be this companion, like no matter where you are on Reforge, this should be something that you're able to access and get value out of. And so that was another kind of reason why we chose that placement. We'll probably keep iterating on that placement, but that's been working well so far. Great questions.
Awesome. Diego asks, in your opinion, how does the performance of answers compare to widely available content versus the content that's trained on the Reforge content repository?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to, I think, a couple things. One is that our content is so tailored to our audience. Like, we have built our content to be like hyper targeted at solving the problems that growth marketers and product builders face. And we're expanding audiences as well. And so it's just very like hyper focused on solving the problems of those audiences. So I would say like audience differentiation is big for us. Second is that we have also trained one, we've written all of our content this way, but we've also kind of prompted our conversational AI in this way as well, which is that we want it to be as concise and actionable as possible. So all of our content is written in the lens of, how might you go and do this now? It's not just about the theory, like not just telling you what is this framework and why does it matter, but it's like, how do you actually use this framework? How do you actually go and do this? You'll see that kind of evolution across Reforge, actually, with the launch of Artifacts last year. It was a big reason why we even went in that direction, is we wanted to show you how other people are doing it, to give you inspiration so that you never have to start from scratch. And so that's really just, I think, woven through how even this conversational AI interacts with you versus what you would see from alternatives in the space. And then I would say lastly there, we cite our sources. So you can always dig into the material. You can see the expert or the peer in our community who wrote the piece, and just dig in deeper if you need to.
Yeah, just to even add on to that from my personal experience, I'm a product marketing manager at Reforge. I work pretty closely with Gianna. And when we were bringing this to market, I used Reforge AI pretty intensively to help inform the go-to-market strategy and the go-to-market documents. And what I noticed when I tried to use ChatGPT or alternatives for the same thing is that the advice was just a lot more generic. It wasn't tailored to our product or our company, and it didn't give me really like super actionable next steps or places where I could read more to form my own opinion. Whereas Reforge AI, it was just clear that content was very much tailored to my role, written by somebody who works in tech. So yeah, from my experience as a marketer in tech, the level of like transparency of the sources and actionability were the big differentiators for me. Next question is from Ranjit. He asked if he can volunteer to be they ask if they can volunteer to be a beta tester for new features.
Yeah, I would love that. We can follow up after this call and get you set up.
Cool. Two more questions. Julio asks, is it possible to copy the answers from the AI and export them for usage?
Oh, great question. I didn't talk about this when I answered the roadmap question. That is, you can technically copy the answer right now, but we are working on making that easier. So in the coming days, we'll be adding a copy button so that you can more easily copy any response. We're also figuring out right now how we can allow you to export or share those responses as well. So that is on our near-term roadmap.
All right, last question. Is it fair to say that when you cite, it cites both Reforge created content as well as artifacts?
Good question. It actually doesn't cite artifacts at the moment, but that is also on our very near-term roadmap, and should be possible very soon. It will, maybe this is too in the weeds, but I'll just add that it won't be cited in the same way. Artifacts, I wouldn't consider it to be like fact the way that I would think about our expert written lessons and guides on the site, versus we see artifacts being more about examples that you can take as inspiration from others in the community. And so you'll see that as that kind of is more integrated into the conversational AI, that's how we're going to position artifacts, as more like examples and inspiration that you can see from others in the community.
Cool. All right, there's one more clarification question from Julio. So you can technically copy the AI answer, but not the course content.
That's a good question. That's correct. Because the responses in the conversational AI are meant to be tailored to you, they're not exactly the same thing as our lesson content. But if you have feedback around kind of what you think about how we're approaching this or the decisions that we're making here, like, I'd love to know. None of this is set in stone. Like, again, we are very much in early testing and figuring out where this feature goes. So yeah, I would love to know more about what you think.
Awesome. Do you want to click to the last slide? I can close this out here.
Yes.
Again, thanks so much, everybody, for your time today. We're super excited about this feature. As you can tell, both users and builders of it. As Gianna mentioned, the primary goal of Reforge AI is to help members leverage the power of Reforge's knowledge base for your day-to-day work. And in the coming weeks, stay tuned for an announcement of how we're planning to make Reforge's advice as contextual to your work as possible, possibly the most contextual advice you've ever received. And if you're interested in becoming a member, check out reforge.com/membership to learn more. I'll also follow up with the recording within, by end of day Monday, and we'll have a link to request a 1-week free trial, which you can either use for yourself or, somebody at your company who may not be a member. So yeah, again, thank you so much for your time, and we'll follow up with the recording soon. Any last words, Gianna?
No, just thank you again for joining us today. It's just been really fun personally to be able to share this with all of you, and I appreciate all of the questions that you all asked. Please keep them coming. You can reach out to me. I don't know, Chris, if you'll share this in the follow-up, but if you have questions or if you're a member and want to, share more about how you're using the feature, like, I'd love to hear it. So feel free to message me at any point.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and a great weekend.